Hello and welcome to this wondrous carnival. It's so good to see each and every one of you. Today we have for you all a magical menagerie of the strangest monsters you will ever see. I have monsters and myths from all across the land. And by all across the land, I do in fact mean the land of an island nation in the east, Japan. Assembled here are yokais that will steal your eyes in the night. Monsters that will appear to you in your most vulnerable moments. Impossible chimeras that will curdle your blood. And a child with a plate of tofu. These are creatures right out of Japanese legends, but I can bet you've never even heard of most of them. This is a menagerie you won't soon forget. Let me not keep you in suspense though. The first creature from the Carnival of Definitely Scary Nightmares is about to be brought out. There is a belief in Japanese superstition that, after a long period of neglect or mistreatment, many items, especially household ones, will come to life. Some will seek revenge for their mistreatment, some will seek entertainment for their endless boredom, and others still will simply run away. This is but one of those household items that sought more than its mundane existence, and it is called the bakezori. The bakezori, or ghost sandal, is a yokai born out of a spirit inhabiting a zori straw sandal. They can be found wandering all across Japan. While many make it their goal to pester humans, they are almost always harmless. They're known to haunt houses at night, chanting "Kararin korarin, kan korarin, managumitsu ni hanimae." The first part is an onomatopoeia, but the second is translated as, "They have 3 eyes and 2 teeth." Likely referencing and mocking their sandal brother, the geta. While they are harmless, you should still be careful to take care of your things properly. It would be unfortunate to find that several items in your house have suddenly come to life, looking to make your life miserable. That concludes our first yokai. Don't be too sad to see it go though, we're only just getting started and there are so many more marvels to come. The next one is a yokai called the uwan, named after the sound it makes. This creature is known for its black teeth, something that many male noble or warrior class individuals intentionally had by dyeing their teeth black. Maybe they had a little British blood in them. The origin for this one is a little strange though. There's a story about a man in the Edo period who moved into an old residence with a woman in order to save money. The next morning after moving in, the 2 people, eyes red from lack of sleep, complained that they were unable to sleep because a voice kept saying, "Uwan, uwan, uwan." No neighbors had heard any such voice, though. Everyone assumed they had been having an exciting night and were looking for an excuse to explain their obvious lack of sleep. But an elder who heard the story told them a monster called Uwan lived in the house. Simple as that. There is also a theory that Uwan can be found near old temples where they will jump out to startle humans, saying Uwan, and then take the person's life while they're startled. The alleged defense is to repeat back anything they said to you, which will cause them to flee. Now, though, we have a yokai with a large array of theories surrounding it. It is known to secretly cut people's hair without them knowing. What? Is this a joke? It's known as kamikiri, translated as hair cutter. There are 3 different explanations or stories about what exactly this yokai does. The first is that anyone walking along roads at night, if their hair was tied up, would get home to find their hair cut where it had been tied. At some point while walking home, their hair had been cut, but they wouldn't notice until they arrived home. The second is about a female servant who was in a bathroom with her hair tied up. Suddenly her hair was cut, and terrified, she rushed to a nearby house where they cared for her and listened to her story. They returned later to find the cut bundle of hair still laying where it had been sheared. The third is simply that the kamikiri would cut off the hair of any human who attempted to marry an animal or ghost. Admittedly, that's a more than fair response to someone who tries to marry an animal. The true identity of the kamikiri, though, has never been clearly established. Some consider it to be the work of a kitsune or fox, and others consider it the work of an insect called kamikiri mushi, or hair cutter insect. These names are incredibly creative. The kitsune is a suspect because one was captured near where a hair-cutting incident had occurred. Upon opening up the kitsune's belly, they found a bundle of hair inside. The Kamikirimushi, or insect theory, isn't talking about the insect by the same name, but a mythical one with razor teeth and scissor hands that would lurk underneath the eaves of roofs. Whatever its true identity, though, this is a very uncommon creature, so enjoy this unique experience while you can. Next up, though, is a creature you may very well have heard of. It goes by the name of Kappa, or River Child. It's a reptiloid kami with a significant resemblance to humans, except it has webbed hands and feet, a shell on its back, and an indented dish on its head. And this dish serves as its primary weakness. If the water in the dish spills, the kappa will be unable to move until the dish is refilled with water from the kappa's river. The person who refills it, though, will gain the kappa's lifelong servitude. Other traits about the kappa, though, are that they love cucumbers and sumo wrestling. They are deeply polite. They have 3 anuses to allow them to fart 3 times harder, and they will readily accept challenges, especially those in shogi or sumo wrestling. I really get the feeling that one of these isn't like the other, but I guess this is fine. They are also often blamed for drownings and underwater assaults. The best guesses say that they attack humans in order to either drink their blood, eat their livers, or gain power by removing their shirikodama. For those of you who don't know what this mystical part of the body is, I'm sorry you have to find out this way. The shirikodama is a ball within the anus that contains someone's soul. Not really the place I would first imagine a soul to be located, but then again, I'm not Japanese. In keeping with the butt or anus theme, the kappa can be repelled by a fart. But if you don't have a fart primed, there is the other option I mentioned before, causing the water in their head dish to spill. This can be done most easily by bowing low before the kappa, causing them to replicate your action because of their deep respect for politeness. Other than this, you can use their proclivity to accept challenges to challenge them to a game you know you can win. If you encounter them in their home underwater, though, you may just be out of luck. Now that you've seen the most famous creature we have, I guess it's all downhill from here. Oh well. Next we have the oil baby. And not the child of an oil baron kind of oil baby, but the Abara Akago kind of oil baby. This is a yokai that appears as a baby and licks the oil right out of andon lamps. More accurately, it appears as a ball of flames until it enters an occupied house and finds an andon lamp, after which it will turn into a baby and lick the oil out of those lamps. I couldn't possibly tell you why I'd want to lick oil, but some places in the countryside did use fish oil in their lamps, so maybe Abara Akago enjoys seafood. And since we're already talking about licking, let's move on to the akaname, or filth licker. As you might be able to guess, they lick filth. Not just any filth, though. The filth in bathhouses and bathrooms. They appear as children with clawed feet and a cropped head. They use their incredibly long tongue to more easily lick every disgusting inch of these bathrooms and bathhouses. If you have an eye for the practicality of such a spirit, then you might be surprised, like I was, to learn that this was seen as a bad thing. Usually people didn't want to run into yokai or have yokai near them, so the akaname instead served as motivation to keep bathhouses and bathrooms as clean as possible. I can only assume these yokai exist solely in Japan, though, since public bathrooms here would offer an absolute bounty for any akaname. That's all I have to say about akanames, but I'm not done talking about bathrooms, because our next creature frequents bathrooms as well. This one is maybe less disgusting, but I'll leave that answer to you. It's called the akamanto, or red cloak. It appears to people on the toilet in public or school bathrooms as a masked spirit in a red cloak, carrying one roll of red toilet paper and another of blue. It will ask you which toilet paper you would like, but no matter which one you pick, you will die. The only way to get out alive is to either ignore the spirit, reject its offer, or run away. Running away may be a little difficult though, since you would assumedly be in the middle of dropping a load. I should note though that while picking either option will result in your death, the choice does decide how you'll die. Pick the blue toilet paper and you'll either be suffocated or have the blood drained from your body. Pick red and you'll be lacerated so that your dead body is covered in blood. The details on how you would be lacerated change depending on the accounts, but the greatest hits are being flayed or having your body ripped from your spine and then hung from your neck like a cloak. This is what I meant when I said you might find this one disgusting as well. I sincerely hope we start breaking this theme of bathrooms though. It's about time we get out of the potty language and back to something that at least seems like an actual spirit or monster. And this next one is somewhat promising. It's called a Sazai Oni or Shellfish Ogre. It's what happens when a turban snail reaches 30 years old. The story goes that a band of pirates found and saved a drowning woman at sea. Next, they did what pirates and a few too many dudes do next, and wondered who would get to have physical relations first. To their surprise, though, she was down for a party, and had physical relations with all of them. In exchange, though, she cut off each of their testicles. They threw her back into the sea for this, but she then revealed her true identity as a Sazai Oni and offered to give their testicles back to them in return for the gold they had gathered. What? Why is nobody laughing? That was a joke. The last bit was the punchline. Did you all miss it? Whatever. Alright, I'll be the spoil sport and explain the joke. In Japanese, testicles are sometimes referred to as kintama or golden balls. The joke is that the sailors traded their gold for gold. Yeah, I bet you feel real stupid now, huh? You just had to ruin a great joke by not getting it. That's fine. Let's just move on to the next one. This next yokai is a chimera of sorts. It's a cross between serpent, bird, and lobster, along with the claws of either a crab or a scorpion. Its name is Amikiri, and it's known for cutting fishing nets. But not only fishing nets. One person was quick enough to prevent their fishing net getting cut by an Amikiri, and then hid the net in their house. When they woke up the next morning, though, they found the mosquito net around their bed cut to pieces. So, serpent, bird, lobster that cuts fishing nets and mosquito nets. If anyone knows how this carnival is supposed to be terrifying, please let me know. I feel like this place was really misnamed. Ignore me. The next is a fish yokai called Ikuchu, a true terror of the seas. It's an eel-like fish that, if it finds your ship, will proceed to collide, or more accurately pass over your ship. Strange and inconvenient from a normal fish, but this is from a fish that is several kilometers long. It will take a little less than 3 hours for this fish to finish sliding over your ship. And while its body slowly makes its way along, the fish secretes a large amount of oil from its body. Enough oil for long enough that it could cause the ship to sink if it isn't bailed out. Like I said, a true terror of the seas. I mean, I'm sure it would be a scary experience for the first few minutes, but eventually you just start to get impatient for the thing to finish passing. Lucky for us, we won't be stuck with this one snakefish for 3 hours though, because we're moving on to a creature that, purely through its appearance, is more than enough of an abomination to beat the Ikuchi. It's called kotobuki. This thing is a lot, but you might recognize some bits and pieces from other animals. The kotobuki is a chimera of the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac. All 12 of them. Let me go ahead and point out all the parts for you. It has the head of a rat, ears of a rabbit, horns of an ox, comb of a rooster, beard of a goat, neck of a dragon, mane of a horse, shoulders of a tiger, arms of a monkey, back of a boar, hind legs of a dog, and the tail of a snake. You're welcome. Its name, kotobuki, also translates to congratulations. Congratulations on making an absolute abomination. You have to wonder who came up with this idea. Astoundingly, this Japanese chimera, based on the Chinese zodiac, is said to be from India, which at this point is probably a minor oddity. But moving on to... Oh, you wanted to know what the kotobuki does. Yeah, I don't know. You try looking it up. Wikipedia didn't even know that this thing came from India. Anyway, now we'll be talking about the nikujin, or meat person. I'm not sure what image exactly came to your mind when you thought of that, but it might not be too far from reality. Or I guess fictional reality? Real reality, because these are real creatures. We're putting them on display for you, so they must be real. So here is the nikujin, which is just a yokai that has... Yeah, what's up? Sorry guys, 1 second. It's the wrong one? We have an aquarium? Okay, sure, whatever, bye. Sorry about that, you all. Turns out this isn't actually the nikujin, but I will say it really looks like it certainly could be. So, now, this is a nikujin. As I was saying before, it's a yokai that has 4 small limbs and wrinkles vaguely resembling facial features. It's sometimes described as a wrinkly sweet potato with 4 short limbs. There are several versions of what exactly the Nikujin does, but the primary one is that it covers itself in a white powder called whitening. The Japanese word for this has several meanings: pretending not to know, deceive by pretending to speak frankly, become open and unconcealed, apply white facial powder, and white monster. I tell you all these because they are how an encounter with a Nikujin goes. First, they impersonate a human, then act friendly with a random stranger, and when the human lowers their guard, it reveals its true form and shows them their original appearance. And that's how a Nikujin encounter goes. It doesn't seem to be particularly aggressive, I guess just annoying. Its food source is the fat of corpses, which it sucks out of dead bodies. It's also rumored to grant eternal youth if eaten, although you may be put off by its alleged origin story, which describes it as having come from not only dead meat, but dead human meat. I'm not sure if a chance for eternal youth is worth consuming now rotten human meat, but that is something you can decide for yourself. And not speaking of human meat, let's talk about the rain. We have a bundle of 3 different yokai that only appear when it's raining: Ame Furikozo, Ameona, and Tsunekosuri. Ame Furikozo is a little boy yokai that wears an umbrella for a hat and carries a paper lantern. They are known as servants to the rain god Ushi, and some stories even claim they have the ability to call forth rain. The Ameona, which means rain woman, is also said to be able to bring about rain. She is depicted as a woman standing in the rain, licking her hand. Some stories claim Ameonas are created when a woman's child is spirited away on a rainy day. The last in our rain bundle is the Tsunekosuri, which appears as a dog. On rainy nights, they will weave between your legs, making it hard to walk. That's it. Does anyone else get the feeling that these 3 so-called yokai are just normal things? Like just a little boy playing in the rain, a woman standing in the rain, and just a dog? Weaving in between someone's legs is, I guess, cat-like behavior, but that doesn't mean a dog couldn't do it. All I got from this is that I should be terrified of any woman, boy, or dog I see out in the rain. Whatever, let's move on. To the Azuki-ori, which means Azuki bean washing, which is a seemingly ghostly occurrence when a strange noise, similar to Azuki beans being washed or ground, is heard near rivers or other bodies of water. Anyone who approaches the water while hearing this will be pulled under, never to be seen again. While the yokai behind this noise is almost never seen, it is depicted as a short man with a large bald head, wearing ragged clothes while bent over a bucket. Sometimes singing can also be heard. Azuki togoka, hito to tokoka, shoki shoki. Translated as, will I grind my Azuki beans, or will I get a person to eat? Shoki shoki. I can tell you're absolutely quaking in terror now. But if you're already by the shoreline, you may also encounter an Ashinaga Tenaga, meaning long legs, long arms. And as you might have guessed, this yokai has incredibly long legs and arms. Or more accurately, this pair of yokai. Because this yokai is a person with long arms standing on top of a person with long legs. They wade out to sea with 6-meter long legs and catch fish with 9-meter long arms. If you are wondering to yourself, where do these come from, the land of long legs and the land of long arms, then you would be very close. They come from long-legged country and long-armed country. To be fair to the seemingly complete lack of creativity from these Japanese names, remember that the majority of names in English are either meaningless words like John or Matthew, words that have meanings unrelated to the name like Bob or Bill, or words that are just like an item, especially flowers like rose or violet. And before you complain that John and Matthew technically have meanings, they're distortions of Hebrew names, which mean graced by God and gift of God respectively. Meanwhile, though, the majority of Japanese names have a meaning like Eiko, which can be prosperity or long-lived child, or Akiko, meaning autumn child, and I'm just going to stop here. I've gotten pretty far off topic. We need to get back on topic and talk about the old man crying, or Konaki Jiji. Don't look at me like that. I'm not the one who came up with these ridiculous monsters. As I was saying though, the Konaki Jiji appears as either an old man or baby and will attempt to lure people into picking it up. Once they do, it turns into an incredibly heavy stone and crushes the victim to death. Stories claim the Konaki Jiji are formed from babies left in the wilderness to die. I'm not sure if relying on human kindness to get back at humanity makes any sense if you were abandoned as a child, but children are really stupid, so who knows. And yet another yokai that appears as a child is the Tofu Kozo or Tofu Boy. They're depicted as children, often with large heads, carrying a tray of tofu and wearing a kasa hat. Now I know this seems like a marketing character, but that is definitely not the case. Most certainly not. They were originally depicted as having no special powers and would only serve tofu and sake to people in town. So I can see how you might misunderstand what's going on here. But like I said, there is no way that tofu sellers would have created a friendly, tofu-selling yokai dressed like them in order to drive sales. That wouldn't make sense. But now we're getting into the final 3 monsters in this carnival. These are sure to leave you covered in goosebumps. The first of these 3 is the haikegane, or haike crab. This is a species of crab whose shell pattern appears to resemble the face of an angry samurai. After discovering this, the crabs were named after the Tiger clan, also known as the Heike, and respected as reincarnations of the Heike warriors that fought and died at Dan no Ura. For those of you who have no idea what Dan's no Ura is, or for those who've only heard of it in passing, Dan no Ura was a naval battle in 1185 that marked a very important point in Japanese history. It was where the Tiger clan were dethroned and the first Kamakura shogun of Japan, Minamoto no Yoritomo, rose to power. The Kamakura shogunate then ruled for nearly 200 years. And there's your brief history lesson to give you some context on samurai spirit-inhabited crabs. And instead of spirit-inhabited animals, let's talk about spirit-inhabited walls or floors. Mokumokuren, meaning many eyes or continuous eyes, is a yokai that lives in torn or damaged paper sliding doors, shoji, or tatami mat floors and walls. The Mokumokuren appears as eyes within the torn spaces of the wall. There is a story about this yokai where a stingy merchant, trying to save money by staying in an abandoned house, came face to face with a many-eyed shoji, and then proceeded to remove all the eyes from the wall and later sell them to an eye surgeon. Not really the tale one would expect regarding a traditional character of haunted houses, but I guess you have to respect someone who knows how to make the best of a bad situation. To be clear though, the Mokumokuren isn't just a creepy aesthetic. Another story involves someone determined to spend the night in the same house as one, and when he awoke, he did so to complete darkness. Both of his eyes had been taken. Now lastly, our final yokai before I send you all on your way. Its name is Itan Momin, meaning one bolt of cloth. It's a cloth yokai 35 feet in length and 1 in width that flies around attacking people by either wrapping around their heads and necks to suffocate them, or by wrapping them up completely and taking them away into the sky. Okay, look. I can't sit here and try to make a bed sheet sound terrifying. Is this really the last one? Is there not another one hidden back there that we can bring out? Something actually scary? No? Yeah, okay. No. I didn't really think so. Oh well. Thank you all for coming out to the Carnival of Definitely Scary Nightmares. I hope you saw something that was frightening or at least interesting. I hope you enjoyed your time though, and I hope you'll come visit us again sometime. Make sure you leave a positive review for us on Google Maps, and then maybe we'll actually have scary monsters if you decide to come back. And as you head out, I have some bits of advice for you all to keep in the back of your mind, just in case. Remember to take good care of your belongings so they don't come to life like a bakazori. Remember to repeat anything an Owan says back to them. Remember to let your hair down if you walk down the road at night, or else risk it getting snipped off by a kamikiri. Remember, if you run into a kappa, you should either bow deeply to them, challenge them to something, or fart on them to get away. Remember to keep your bathrooms clean, or you may find they've been cleaned for you by an akaname. Remember to always reject when an akamanto offers you red or blue toilet paper. Remember to scoop the oil out of your ship if you run into an akuchi at sea. Remember that if you see a woman, boy, or dog out in the rain, they must be a yokai. Remember if you hear azuki beans being washed or ground to avoid the water.